Hello everyone, I'm delighted to welcome three inspiring Block leaders to our conference and discuss large trends that they think will shape the future of the payment industry. With me today, I have Alyssa Henry, head of Square. Then I have Brian Grassadonia, head of Cash App.
Ready?
And then I have Nick Molnar, co-founder of Afterpay. So let's dive in. I would love to start with you, Nick, to talk about Afterpay a little bit. Before the acquisition by Block, Afterpay was well positioned to ride the wave of the massive e-commerce growth that happened during the pandemic. Some analysts even think that current inflation levels could nudge even more consumers toward the installment route. What made you decide to join Block rather than continue operating as a fast-growing independent company?
Yeah, well, thank you for the question and lovely to be here today. From our perspective, I think there's two really key components that went into Anthony and my decision to join forces with these two lovely people beside me. The first was the people element. We spent a lot of time getting to know each other, talking about strategies, talking about alignment of our objectives, how we saw the world, how we thought about payments evolving in retail and more broadly. And there was incredibly strong cultural alignment, and from the human element, it was clear that these were people that we wanted to partner with for the future. The second, really came back to how does Block as an organization accelerate Afterpay's growth trajectory, and how do we then similarly play a role in an international expansion strategy? So whether you consider it from a Square perspective with millions of sellers on one side of the equation, or from a Cash App perspective with tens of millions of consumers on the other side of the equation, those two ingredients into our growth curve are critical to accelerate our growth from this point. And we just saw a huge opportunity to join forces and grow quicker on the next the next phase of our growth trajectory. So incredibly excited.
Thank you so much for this intro. Well, it's really a powerful story, and I'm just really delighted that you guys joined forces with us, because I think it's going to be really great for our consumers and sellers in the future. So now I'd like to turn to you, Alyssa, and I would love to know a little more details about what you think is so exciting for our Square sellers, from this acquisition.
Thanks, Marylise. Yeah, I'm super excited about the Afterpay acquisition as well, because fundamentally, it is great for merchants and sellers. Afterpay drives higher order conversion rates, higher basket size, and as well as net new buyers to businesses. And so, at Square, our goal is always how do we work, with sellers directly or with developers supporting sellers to help them build bigger businesses and help them grow. And when they grow, we grow. So good alignment there. And I think Afterpay really well aligned with the mission on that.
Great, thank you. That's such a good vision. And after seeing the enthusiasm from our sellers since we launched the Afterpay integration, I think it was such a really great move. So now, Brian, your turn. Why is this acquisition so good for your ecosystem of consumers in Cash App?
Yeah, well, speaking on the Cash App element specifically, on Cash App, we've been on a mission to redefine the world's relationship with money by making it more relatable, instantly accessible, instantly available and universally accessible. And there's a couple really big elements to that. We've been focused on building out an ecosystem of financial services. When we think about money, we think about it in the broadest sense. But what Afterpay represents is it represents an opportunity for us to expand more broadly into commerce. And if we think about what Cash App is at its core, it's a financial network. And the way we've been building that financial network is we've been providing a platform for individuals to connect with other individuals through peer-to-peer payments primarily. But there have been businesses and merchants that have been coming onto the platform, whether those are small businesses that want to accept payments more easily. And when we look at what Afterpay has built, they've built a network that connects consumers to businesses. They help them discover, they help them shop, and they help them engage in commerce in just a much more in a really revolutionary way. And so on Cash App, there have been seeds of this. So the Boost program is something that we introduced, which it's an instant discounts program for the Cash Card. And we really see the ability to kind of expand upon that by bringing Afterpay merchants and Square merchants more broadly into the Cash App ecosystem, and helping our consumers broaden the kind of horizon in which they're able to use Cash App to engage in commerce more deeply. So couldn't be more excited about it.
Cool. That's just really so awesome. I'm always just blown away by the vision you're setting with Cash App and all the financial services you're bringing to your consumers. So this is great, and can't wait to see more. So now that we have kind of talked about some of the key rationales behind this acquisition, I would love to kind of build on this buy now pay later trend itself, and then talk about what we might open up for sellers and consumers in the future thanks to this great acquisition. So Brian. We talked about the millions of users that you have on Cash App, over 70 million actually. And, you've been adding these new financial services over time. What do you think, you can implement with Buy Now Pay Later to fuel even more growth?
Yeah, I mean, so to your point, we've been expanding into a broader and broader suite of financial services in Cash App over the last several years. So whether it's Cash Card or direct deposit, the ability to buy and sell stocks, the ability to invest in Bitcoin, we have products and services that are live in most major subsectors of financial services. But if we think about our customer base, we are predominantly serving a Gen Z and a millennial customer base. And ever since the 2008 financial crisis, that customer demographic has been shying away from traditional credit. 2/3 of millennials, don't carry a credit card, but credit is so fundamental to our economy. And I really believe that it's because so many of the solutions just aren't approachable. They're not relatable. People are intimidated by them. And if we look at what Afterpay has done with Buy Now Pay Later, they pioneered a new way to think about credit in the context of payments. They flipped the traditional credit model on its head and providing a way for consumers to pay in installments without interest. And it's just such a more approachable and relatable way to engage in credit. And I think that there's nothing fundamental about credit that these customers don't want to engage or shouldn't engage in. And so by bringing this utility into Cash App, we think we can introduce an entire new generation to a new model of credit, and we couldn't be more excited about it.
Nice. I really can't wait to see those features that you guys release, probably at a very fast clip, I'm sure. So now, Alyssa, on the seller side, what are you thinking is coming next, through this acquisition and new services that you could offer to our sellers?
We're continuing to build out a broad suite of services, whether it's for commerce or customer acquisition or retention, staff management, and banking. And I think Afterpay pulls on a couple of those threads, both the commerce thread and the customers and demand generation thread. We're thrilled about the ecosystem in general being an open ecosystem and providing API access as well too, which really enables not only us to build first-party experiences, but so many people in the developer community are really making the entire ecosystem that much richer. And we're just thrilled to then have Afterpay integration in the developer platform as well, such that not just Square first-party products and merchants can take advantage of it, but we make it really, really easy for all of our partners to adopt as well too. So, we're going to continue building out, more features and more capabilities within the ecosystem, and continue to make sure that we're exposing public APIs so that everybody can build and extend upon what we've built, whether it's in their own apps to run their own businesses, if they're in-house developers or IT within a company, or ISVs looking to augment the solution they're building for sellers as well too.
Great. No, this is awesome. And, I think it's been really great to see the implementation of Afterpay for our developers. Our first one just built an integration within 1 week and launched it. So it was really exciting. So of course, Nick, as a co-founder of Afterpay, I would love to hear your take on the future of Buy Now Pay Later and what you think, you would want to implement other services, thanks to just joining forces with Block.
Yeah. Look, I think it's been spoken about, the consumer's distrust for credit. And when you think about how the credit industry has historically worked, if 100% of people pay back a credit card on time, the model doesn't earn income in the same way. So to design a product that is fundamentally the opposite of how financial services has historically worked allowed us to build a relationship so deep at the core with our customer base, primarily a millennial and Gen Z consumer. I do think that while the payment service as its own standalone, being Buy Now Pay Later is kind of widely understood in the benefits to average order value, conversion rate, repeat purchase rates. What is probably less understood is the ability for platforms such as Afterpay to actually drive new business to retail partners. So over the course of last year, we sent over 1 million leads per day to our retail partners. So, Afterpay can act as a customer acquisition marketing channel for our retailers where we can introduce new brands to consumers and, really act as a partner to drive growth, not just of the existing business, but new business to our partners. So in partnership with, Square and in partnership with Cash App to expand the eyeballs and, that ecosystem to drive even more traffic to our partners is core to our strategy and probably what I'm the most excited about over the next 12 months.
Cool. That's just really great. All very interesting development. And I can see a lot of synergies again between all these ecosystems together. So great. So let's move on, beyond buy now, pay later itself now and expand to the conversation to other trends we are seeing in the industry. So Alyssa, I'd like to turn to you for this, with the rise of e-commerce, of non-cash payments, and a jump in cybersecurity threats, they have fueled a heightened focus on, cybersecurity in payments. And fraud have really plagued businesses as mobile payments have become popular. Federal officials have warned of ransomware risks. And so, fraud is expected to cost the debit and credit card industry more than $400 billion over the next decade. Which cites chargeback as a growing problem. So, what kind of action are you taking on the Square side to kind of prevent these issues?
Great question, Marylise. Thank you. Risk management is top of mind for us, and security generally, and risk management. We think we can help simplify it. We can apply our data science. We can apply, all of the tools and technology that we have in order to build the systems that detect the fraud, that then simplify what merchants have to worry about, right? Many sellers, if they're trying to run this in-house, they have to build a lot of these things. They have to build fraud teams internally and the like. We take a lot of that stuff out and we just do it for you. We're also continuing to build out more functionality that allows more sophisticated partners and customers to turn the knobs and the dials. Because there may be places where they have more risk tolerance or less risk tolerance, or they notice specific patterns in their business, and so giving them the tools so that they can customize the risk experience, but while still building off of the platform that we have, making it easier to address. But I think this trend that is going to continue. The bad guys always like to go find, anytime there's something new, the bad guys are always kind of the first to come in. And our risk and security teams, are at it day and night, working to protect the platform and protect our customers.
Yeah, for sure. This is just really, I'm sure, keeping everybody up at night. And it's incredible to see really what our teams are doing in the back end to really make it really seamless for our sellers who just don't really see, all the work that's going behind the scenes. So thank you. So now, moving on to you, Brian, and onto another big trend, obviously Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is a big deal all over. And, you have implemented Bitcoin in Cash App a few years back. So I'm curious to see, how you see this trend going, how are consumers adopting, Bitcoin, and where you think this is all going?
Yeah, so, when there are major technological breakthroughs, they tend to lead to platform cycles. And when there's a new platform cycle, it presents an opportunity for most industries to be reinvented within the context of that platform cycle. If we think about the platform cycle that we're just kind of on the tail end now, it's the app ecosystem platform cycle, and the ubiquity of mobile phones, the ability for developers to be building, mobile applications in computing devices that we always have on us. That platform cycle it led to the disruption and the revolution of most major industries, everything from transportation to dating to the way that we engage in commerce and now, financial services broadly. There's a major trend. And so I really do believe that, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, and these decentralized blockchains, it is it's a major technological shift. And And I think we're just at the beginning of what this platform cycle, we're at the beginning of this platform cycle. And I think when we're in the context of these, there's new technological breakthroughs that will happen along the way. And being able to predict all of the different ways in which industries will be reinvented within the context of the new technologies, it's hard to predict. But one thing that I do know is based on pattern recognition, you have to be investing, you have to be developing, you have to be experimenting. And this platform cycle, it's a technological breakthrough at the very core of the industry that we're operating within. And so, I think that cryptocurrency has the potential to disrupt every single financial service that Cash App has built in the context of the last platform cycle. And we need to be on the forefront of that. We need to be defining, what those new experiences are going to be. And we won't be able to predict every single way, but we have to be invested, and that's why we're so committed to developing cryptocurrency experiences.
Great. Yeah. No, this is great. And I just think about 15 years back, nobody would ever have thought that it would be possible. So incredible to see that you guys are moving so quickly and keeping up. So, all right. Well, I have one last question, for the three of you, and I kind of want to know what you think, about the direction that we are heading toward payments being entirely digital, contactless, and instant. And do you see anything else that we might have touched on that you see as a big trend going in this industry? Do you want to start, Nick?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think as Brian just spoke about, money is certainly cultural right now, and it started as a result of the 2008 financial crisis. It certainly accelerated as a result of the last 2 years during the pandemic, and it's led to consumers caring deeply about financial services and the concept of money. It's led to retailers having a very deep appreciation to the benefits that alternatives and ways that you can engage with your consumers through this evolution of alternative payments. I do think that this calendar year will be the year of alternative payments really making its breakthrough and going mainstream. And to me, the role that Afterpay can play with the support particularly of Cash App and Square to accelerate that growth curve is incredibly important. But alternative payments, I think, the thing to watch this year.
Nice, so cool. Alyssa, do you want to take it next?
Sure. I think one of the big trends that we're seeing is the integration and embedding of financial services, into software more broadly. So previously, you had software to run a business or operate. You had separate financial tools to take payments or to get a loan or whatever. And I think it really the convergence of all these things together and the embedded financial services is just massively accelerating. And so what used to be kind of distinct products with little to no integration, with no ability to understand, if I have a buyer in store, is it the same person online? With your bank not really able to see what your business is doing, and so wanting to wait until you're much bigger in order before they'll underwrite you. I mean, I think there's multiple trends in here where it's the convergence of all these different things together into more seamless, cohesive experiences that just make it easier for both the merchants and their buyers to focus really on, what is the experience together, what is the exchange that's happening there, what is the relationship between them, and less on and let everything else kind of fade to the background, and again just remove as much friction as possible through the integration of all these tools.
Great, thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I think a trend that I'm just personally really inspired by, and it's the way in which money kind of connects to culture. And I think when we think about money, when we think about banking, when we think about financial services, we don't think about it in the same way that we do other lifestyle types of industries, or whether it's music or fashion, these things that are so deeply ingrained in culture. But if we think about it, there is nothing more fundamental to our emotions, who we are as people, as money. Music is utilitarian in some way as well. And I think that there's something about the way that our industry has evolved, where it's evolved to become this kind of sterile, mechanical industry. And I don't think that it needs to be. I think that money is culture. And I think in many ways, technology was the same way back in the 1970s or early 1980s. If you were to go back to 1978 and try to tell somebody that one day a technology company would build one of the world's most aspirational and iconic brands, and I think Apple did that, that would have never made any sense. You would have thought about technology companies back then as being, sterile, nerdy, mechanical. And I think that there's an opportunity to kind of completely redefine the world's relationship with money for this next generation, and we're hoping to help shape that, and just bringing money in our industry to be a far more relatable industry that doesn't intimidate people, and people can feel they can engage with their money in the same kind of comfortable way that they do in other industries, and I think that'll be big if we can help make that bring that to fruition.
Yeah, no, that's great, and I think you're kind of already doing that with Cash App, and I think the Square brand itself too. I think people just really know it; it's just familiar, and I think that's also bringing financial services closer to everyone. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much for the three of you to join us today. Alyssa, Brian, and Nick. It was a pleasure to talk to you. And then with that, I will hand it back to you, Shante.